Here in the United States, we're often brought up and told we don't have propaganda, that we have a hard-charging investigative press, we have this educated, skeptical, even cynical citizenry, and that if there were powerful interests trying to manage and manipulate public opinion, they would be exposed. The reality actually is just the opposite. Academics like Alex Carey and others who've spent their lifetimes looking at how propaganda works finds that it's actually in Western democracies and open societies where you need the most sophisticated sorts of propaganda. And since World War I, thanks to people like Ivy Lee and Eddie Bernays, propaganda has become a business, this business of public relations. Or as one of the firms that has often represented dictators, the Burson Marsteller firm puts it, their business is perception management, to manage public perception, public policy on behalf of their clients, whoever they might be.
You finish your thought, can you talk a little bit about the Wanta funds for those that are new to that, and because there's been a lot of disinformation.
We could jump in here and say this, that President Reagan had a vision that he was that he used, and Wanta is absolutely brilliant at currency transactions, which the government of China took part in. But through a series of currency transactions based on initially $5 billion given to Wanta to finance the Vienna-based AmeriCorp investment.
Ameritrust, yes.
Ameritrust. Wanta raised, as of the 1990s, the funds he had raised were $27 trillion, and that money was to pay off the national debt and to be held in trust for the people of the United States in perpetuity to renew the industrial base of the U.S. And it was going to be the living bequest of President Reagan.
Wow.
Until the money was stolen by the Bush family. And we could talk about Howie Kwok, who in a meeting in Singapore with, see who else was at the table, Jan Morton Hager, who was chief counsel for the Central Intelligence Agency at the time, that George Herbert Walker Bush demanded that the money be turned over to him entirely, that Howie, who represented the Chinese government at the table, went across the table and struck Bush and was found dead the next morning. And the $27 trillion disappeared. That approximately $7 trillion U.S. dollars is supposedly sitting at the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond in the name of Ameritrust. There is a pay order for this money, a Supreme Court decision, and a pay order signed by President Obama that a fair amount of this money is under my personal authority, which to be designated to fund a center for housing and rehabilitation of veterans, which, by the way, would involve no large salaries and no overhead. And there are more than a few of us of reasonable honor who will do that. This money would also fund a high-speed rail system for the entire U.S., all of which would be manufactured in the country, giving you coast-to-coast travel for a little more than $200 at over 200-plus miles an hour. That it would build a series of hotels that would initial employment would be 50,000 and go up to 500,000, and that this money is designated entirely to pay off the national debt in its entirety, pay off the debt of most states. This money, $27 trillion, will build the rail system, bail out the entire country, buy us out of the Federal Reserve System entirely, pay off all U.S. debt put us on a solid currency basis, and eliminate the Federal Reserve System. And it would restore manufacturing jobs and restore a solid economy to the U.S., where people actually would get up in the morning and go to productive jobs and actually make something that a lot of us miss doing. But the money is there.
Now the $27 trillion, I'm aware of,
and which is now one heck of a lot more than $27 trillion.
So have they
now,
recovered? Have they recovered $27 trillion?
Oddly enough, this is kind of a joke here. Not that long ago, I have friends in the banking business. I work in international banking. The group I work with, Adamas Corporation, owns banks in Switzerland and elsewhere. One of the banks, we had purchased a bank that I didn't necessarily, and it wasn't my decision, but a bank where I was, I'm senior vice president of a bank. I'm deputy chairman of the board of Adamas, which does 35 billion euros a year. It's largely an aerospace defense corporation. That's one of the things is that I'm, in what I say, I'm answerable to a board of directors. The problem is that I kind of run the board of directors. So this, and the primary stockholders are lifelong friends. But one of the banks we bought put me in a position where we have partial ownership of the New York Federal Reserve Bank.
Wow.
It's theoretically possible here. I could actually nominate myself to the board, the Fed, which I find more than slightly ironic. When you look at it here, I grew up in a house in Detroit. My dad was an auto worker. My bathroom is bigger than the house I grew up in, and I used to work for Bell Labs. I was just an electrical engineer at one point. I'd call me a failed history teacher. And the only way I ended up in government employment is because I couldn't get a real job. The same. If I had to do it all over again, I would have driven a milk truck rather than work around politicians and spies. Now, for instance, if somebody wanted to see who I am or who I know or whatever, let's say you went to, if you pulled up the films of the inauguration of the last president of Nigeria, the current president, Jonathan Goodluck, or Goodluck Jonathan, as they say it there, you'll only see one white person sitting at the table with him at the inaugural ball. That's me. You'll only see one person at the dais with a white face when he's being sworn in. That's me.
Now, the one
I'll show up.
You're, we got an idea here.
You can if you want to YouTube enough things, you'll find who I travel with and deal with.
Yeah. Now the question is like in the process, I'm aware of Christine Laguerre and what she's doing, okay, and the IMF chairman with Leo. What are we looking at in time frame? Do you believe, as far as by the end of the year, of this the plan?
I talked with Leo about this money because we have sat and planned out how to bring back the United States and to build a decent life for the American people, and we are truthfully at war with. It's not just the Bush family.
With politicians in this country, with the spook world.
Right now we have $7.1 trillion that can be turned over immediately behind this, we're going to go after the rest of it. And it's been a relentless long-term battle. And we have won the court cases to do this. The pay orders are there, and the checks should have been written. And I love reading these websites about how Lee Wanta is a secret agent of the Illuminati or whatever. Tell the people, Stu, what kind of person is Lee Wanta?
Well, he's solid as a rock, and I've known him since the days when Bill McCoy knew him, and he came to Bill.
He's a former tool and die maker from Milwaukee, a fanatically strict Roman Catholic who loves the United States and the people of the United States more than anything, a person who has suffered as a Christ-like figure, who has been tortured, kidnapped, imprisoned, as so many other people have. I don't have to tell you